will try my best. So let me just say I am Shardai Figgures. I'm with the CHE. I am the Social Media and Communications Coordinator. And I'm so excited to be leading this panel. So y'all ready to get started? Okay. So let's just start with introducing ourselves. Name, major, where you transferred from, and where you transferred to. Not all at once, though.
I guess I'll go first. My name is Troyetta Knox. I am a second-year IMBA candidate at the University of South Carolina's Darla-Moore School of Business. I'm specializing in marketing, strategy, as well as getting a certificate in business analytics. I started my journey at York Tech in Rock Hill, South Carolina. Transferred after I actually completed my 2 years in one. I went around the clock and transferred to the University of South Carolina, where I graduated.
That's okay. There we go. Where I got my bachelor's in political science and I minored in business administration, and decided to continue on. So I went on and matriculated right into the MBA program, the international MBA program to be specific, and I got a full fellowship to attend. So very excited.
I can go. So my name is Avian Watts. I transferred from Southwestern Oregon Community College to Columbia College. I just finished my undergraduate degree this summer. I got a degree in public health with a minor in business, and I'm back at Columbia College getting my MBA right now.
All right.
Hi everyone, I'm Deja Peebles. I am currently a senior at the University of South Carolina. I double major in psychology and retailing, and then I minor in business, specifically marketing business. I started my higher education journey originally in upstate New York, so I went to Tompkins Cortland Community College, or TC3. So I went there for a year, and then my family, once COVID hit, we moved down to South Carolina, Greenville. So I went to Greenville Tech for 1 year, so now I'm a senior here at university. One more year left, super excited, and then hopefully full-time job from there, hopefully in Boston or somewhere in Washington State.
All right.
Hi, my name is Rachel Coyle. I'm a senior here at the University of South Carolina. I'm an exercise science major on the pre-physical therapy track, so I'm applying to doctor of physical therapy right now. I started at Midlands Tech my freshman year and then transferred to the University of South Carolina.
All right. So next, nothing says wake up like a story time, right? Okay. So let's tell our transfer story. I know you all have a story, so let us know how that went for you guys, the transfer experience.
I guess I can start with now. So again, I transferred from Southwestern Oregon Community College, so all the way across the country. At that community college, I was swimming, and so I knew I wanted to transfer somewhere that I could continue being a student athlete. And I also hated the cold in Oregon, so I was trying to figure out where I could continue swimming somewhere warm, and I also fully financially support myself, so I also need somewhere that could give me some money. So eventually I decided on Columbia College, and the transfer journey was much harder than I was expecting. I think that I'm a pretty extroverted person, which also kind of scares me how hard it was because I really felt lonely, and when I first transferred, I didn't live on campus, which maybe was a pitfall for me because at my old college they had apartments, and so I was like, I don't really want to live in a dorm, I don't really live in an apartment, I'll just keep doing that. But I think that really kind of set me back from being with my peers. And so at Columbia College, it was definitely a little bit of a rough start. Halfway through the first term, I got noticed that I was actually not a junior anymore, I'm going to be a sophomore. And so I was really disappointed because I had already had these advising appointments. I went to this college because I thought I was going to transfer in all these credits. And so that really disappointed me. And for a while I thought, okay, maybe I should just go back to Oregon. This is not working out. Why am I here? You know, I had no family, no friends. But eventually, through help of professors, my teammates, and coach, we kind of got everything figured out, and I was able to finish up all my course requirements this summer. So I definitely squeezed it all in and graduated just one term late. So that was really nice, but yeah, it was definitely a little bit more difficult than expected.
Who's next?
Well, I originally knew that I was going to transfer. Everyone in my family, I have 3 older siblings. They all did the community college first and then going to a university afterwards. So I knew that I was originally going to. However, there's a stigma when you're going to a 2-year college first. I went to a very small private high school up in upstate New York, and everyone, you know, we're all very competitive up there. We're all trying to get into Ivy Leagues, and then I'm like, hi, I'm going to community college, like I know this, and everyone, you either have 2 pathways that either think that you don't have the grades to go to university or that you don't have the funds to go to university. Either one of those is 100% okay. Neither one of those is personally my experience, but that stigma, you know, kind of set me back from my peers senior year a little bit, on top of COVID as well, which was definitely a struggle. So when I went to TC3 or Tompkins Cortland Community College the first year, everything was online, which I personally, I love to work online as long as I am very organized, which I try to do, and am able to manage my time. I do my classes online, which I really enjoy. So the first year I was cruising by, it was all great. However, I was in international business and foreign policies, and it just really was not for me at all. I love learning about other cultures and other languages. However, politics and policies, definitely not my thing. As we can see now, I'm in psychology. And then afterwards, I moved down to South Carolina in Greenville Tech. I just thought that there was a little bit of a disconnect with me and the advisors. I had met with my advisor once. I personally couldn't even tell you who she was. She was very nice. But so there was a lack of communication there, where I didn't know that transferring into the University of South Carolina, I have a lot of cousins here, so they were my support, and my family's here, which is fantastic. I didn't know that any courses from a 2-year or a trade school in your major doesn't count. So I was going in thinking, okay, I already have 6 of my psychology courses done. Then gosh, like I can take some electives and I can really enjoy my time here, connecting with my peers, getting really involved in the community, because volunteering is something that's very important to me. And I ended up having to push back a year, just like you did as well. I thankfully was able to take some courses over the summer. Next semester, I'm going to be absolutely packed with different psych courses. It's a good thing I like to stay busy. So it was also very much a struggle for me, and it kind of feels, we were talking earlier, it kind of feels like you're coming in as a freshman, because yes, it is your first year, but you're also a junior. And so I remember my first day of school, my sister dropped me off at classes, and I was like, gosh, people are walking around in these huge groups, they're already talking, how do they already have friends? It's the first day of school. She's like, they've already been here for years. I was like, oh my gosh, you're so right. Like it just really disconnected with me. Thankfully, University of South Carolina is so great, where we have over 500 different programs, and I mean, I'm thankful to be involved with Dance Marathon, which I'm going so off track, but Dance Marathon I'm really involved in, and a bunch of other things. And Amanda Shores, I'm actually her TA for some classes, so it's really great. And yeah, so overall, it was a little bit of a struggle, but I think that the advisors have really helped, and I don't want to diminish any of the work, and I'm so glad that we're having things like this conference, and that you guys are like coming together and like really helping, because I know hearing from like different speakers that we've had today, and just walking around and hearing the conversations, you're really here for the students and really helping them, and I just think that sometimes it's not always that way. It's one question doesn't have one answer, and I think it's so easy, just like give that one answer to the student. However, you really have to go in and look at their profile and I know that's so difficult for you guys. And from a student perspective, I'm just so thankful that you guys are here and you're like really working towards us. Yeah, that was a really long-winded answer, but thank you for all you do.
talker as well. So. My journey started at York Tech. I'm a non-traditional student, but I found out that's not so non-traditional any longer. So coming to York Tech, I was able to really get involved and get into like writing. I was an editor for the school newsletter. I joined Dean Council. I was president of Phi Beta Lambda, the business club, and so I feel like just me being active and getting connected right away was very instrumental in my success there. I had great counseling. Alyssa Collins, who's sitting to the right of me, really helped me find those classes that would translate into I knew I was going to transfer, I just didn't know where. But I was able to get substitutions and things like that, so it would count. I was very intentional about making sure that what I was doing was going to count wherever I was going to transfer to. I got invited as a leader, a student leader, to come to an Ignite conference here at the University of South Carolina, where I fell in love with the campus and the program, and I was like, that's my place, this is where I'm going. Hopefully they'll take all of my credits. And when I applied, I was kind of like fingers crossed, I said, here's what I've taken, and how much of this is gonna count. And I've heard so many horror stories about how people are, just get a fraction of their credits. And literally out of my 64 credit hours, only 7 didn't count. And I was just like, that is it, I am on my way. So my experience was phenomenal. I got here at the University of South Carolina as a junior. The University of South Carolina has a fantastic program for University 101. I didn't have to take it, but I heard through research that it was like the #1 University 101 program in the country. So my curiosity said, I need to see what they're doing in there to be claiming #1 status. So I had that experience, which was amazing because as a transfer student, there's a book called Transitions, and it really kind of lays out all of the wonderful opportunities and resources that you can have as a student. So I just got in there, I joined the Transfer Association Club with other transfer students, which really helped me to kind of understand their stories and kind of have a place to call home while I'm trying to navigate this big space, this new university. So just speaking to some of the things that you said, just getting involved and having that support system and that baked in, those resources was very instrumental. As well as I met regularly with my advisor to make sure that I was going to stay on track. And I got tapped on the shoulder. There's another, On Your Times Initiatives is another program that the University of South Carolina has for people that may be wanting to accelerate to their matriculation to graduation. There's winter sessions, summer sessions, and different things. And so I got involved in taking some of those summer classes so that I could, kind of make sure that nothing was going to happen, that I wouldn't, graduate on time. And then I was able to become a board member for On Your Times Initiatives for a student advisory board, where I was actually advocating and meeting and talking and sharing with other students the resources and the options that they had to really enjoy and connect on campus. So long story short, I've had a tremendous, fantastic journey. I didn't have any hiccups, but I was always advocating and pushing and connecting all along the way. And I would say that's the biggest thing that can happen for any student. Advocate for yourself, get involved, get connected, stay connected, and share.
So my freshman year at Midlands Tech was unfortunately during COVID, and I'm someone who thrives in an in-person classroom setting. So freshman year was a little rocky. I did do the Gateway program here at University of South Carolina, so I did live on campus, but was considered a Midlands Tech student. So I, just basically sat in my dorm all day and did school. It was very hard to get involved because of COVID. So my goal was to always end up at Carolina. So finished up at Midlands Tech, applied within 2 weeks, got accepted here at Carolina, and had my first advising meeting and realized that I was not properly advised at Midlands Tech and was behind. So I've kind of been playing catch up since I got here. I will be graduating on time, thankfully, but I don't think there's been a single semester here that I haven't taken less than 17 credit hours because of that. I wasn't advised to take a chemistry history, calculus, and that's kind of the basis of exercise science in a prerequisite course for most of the higher level exercise science courses. With all that said, I still would not change a thing. As soon as I got here, it was great, first day of class, walking on campus. Finally, I immediately got involved in the exercise science club, where I figured out what career I want to have. And this year, I am a University 101 and 102 peer leader. My instructor, Bill Brown, over there, he's awesome. So yeah, I'm really happy to share my experiences and my hardships, but also the success with transfer students and freshmen, just to be like, hey, like, it's okay. You're not always going to be on a linear path, but it'll all work out.
Awesome. So you guys kind of answered the next question about any challenges that you had transfer. Are there any major successes that you have? I heard you say majority of your credits were included, so that was great for you. Can anyone else think of any successes that you had with transfer?
Yeah, I definitely think that even though my journey wasn't as expected, I think I had an option right out of high school to go to Columbia College, but I turned it down so that I could save up more money, go to the community college in Oregon, and then kind of make sure I had my finances in place before transferring. And I'm so grateful that I did that, and I did transfer, and I stayed at Columbia College because I think those 2 years at a community college really helped me grow as a person and be ready for a 4-year college. I think that high school, I was kind of scraping by, but I think those 2 years at community college really prepared me to be a college student, and now I graduated with a 4.0 from Columbia College. So it's just, I think people don't realize that sometimes people need that initial community college to get ready for 4-year. So I'm glad I did it.
Yeah. All right. Anyone else?
I think it's hard to just pinpoint something. I think just like the University of South Carolina, I originally wasn't going to go because much of my family went. I was always, the black sheep in the family, want to do something different. So I was going to go to the University of Vermont because they have a good psychology program. And I do like the cold, sorry. I like the cold. But being here is it's just so wonderful. And I think it's really because of the resources that we have, like the Advising Center. The Registrar Office has been absolutely wonderful. Again, all those organizations that I got involved with. Like I said, I'm a University 102 instructor, and then I also do University 101, so it's great to have like the experience of like freshmen, but living vicariously through them and saying like, no question is a dumb question. Like, however you're feeling, all of us have most likely felt before, just like really being there for them, and it kind of feels like they're like my little students, and it's just I'm just so proud of them. Yeah, so I just feel like, yes, I did have bumps and I did have struggles and little hiccups here and there through my journey of education after high school, but just like overall, just the entire thing is a success in my eyes, which is why it's hard to really pinpoint something specific.
Are we ready to move on? Okay, great. All right, so ladies, let's talk a little bit about the support that you received during your transfer experience, and what did that support look like? And it could have been from anyone.
So I would say initially my support was my coach and teammates, because I had a really hard time doing more things besides swimming. And so initially they were kind of the people who I was like, my goal is to just make it through this year, and they were trying to support me through that. I think once I heard about being a sophomore instead of a junior, I was really taken aback. But actually, Kristen Brooks, she really helped me through it. She was one of my professors that term, and she was like, no, like, we can figure this out. And it was just, I think the little things, having people slowly kind of advocate for you really helps, because it makes you feel like, okay, there's other people that want me to succeed. It's not like it's me against the world. And so I think there's a lot of people involved, but most notably for me, it was my teammates and professors.
So I would say I've had a tremendous amount of support from just advisors, From the bridge programs, just having that information and knowing that there's a pipeline and people are on both sides really pushing and rooting for you to win. Again, I think that just being able to understand the requirements, understand where I was going, what I wanted to get out of my education, and having the resources available through those pipelines gave me the courage as well as it empowered me to make smart decisions about the courses that I took and where I knew I was going. I knew that I was going to need certain pieces, and I'm proud to say that I graduated from York Tech with a 4.0, summa cum laude, and I graduated from the University of South Carolina with my political science and minor in business with a 3.9 Phi Beta Kappa.
I would say my biggest support while I was at Midlands Tech was definitely my parents. They were pushing and rooting for me the whole time, knowing that I was having a hard time with my online classes and just that initial transition from high school to college. And I didn't have a teacher every day be like, so this is due on Friday, you have this exam next week, you're on your own. And I was unfortunately a big procrastinator in high school. So learning all those things, my parents really helped. And then as soon as I got to Carolina, being behind, I've had amazing advisors. The advisors in the public health school are really the reason why I'm graduating on time. And like you said, they have really motivated me, they pushed for me, they advocated for me. They have figured it out from sophomore year to now that I will graduate on time and everything will be okay and it's not the end of the world.
Awesome. I'm just holding space for you.
My sister has definitely been my main support. She's 6 years older than me, but my mom was always working when I was growing up, so she basically raised me, and she's my mom and my best friend and my everything, just in one. She lives up in New York still, which is kind of sad, but we try to visit each other whenever we can. But when she's also at work and everything, because I got so involved, I just know I'm a very codependent person, so I need someone with me all the time. And so like being really involved, like I said, I'm in dance marathon, so our little group here, we're all just so supportive of each other. And yeah, I'm in ODK for South Carolina. I just got accepted yesterday. I actually got tapped in. And then I'm in, Carolina, Clemson Blood Tribe, Relay for Life, Dance Marathon. I'm a peer leader. So I'm just pretty much doing everything all at once. But it's just like Gamecocks look out for Gamecocks. That's all it is. And I'm assuming it's like that at almost every single year, every single college. So it's not just like people who are older than you, it's also people like your same age, your peers that are really looking out for you. And it's just like knowing that when I fall, like there's always someone back there to catch me, which is really great.
Yes. Oh, you guys are doing great. Okay, so we are your students, okay? We want to learn from you. What do you think that colleges and universities across South Carolina could do better to make transfer a better process for you guys?
I think I heard some really great things from USC. I didn't realize that they had, I forgot what it's called, but the first year class. Yeah, but there's also a transfer class, which I think is amazing because currently at Columbia College we have a first year class, but we don't really have a transfer class, so you kind of get shoved in the same boat. And that was something that I really struggled with was I'm new and so I need the help of being new, but I don't want to be treated like I just came out of high school. So I think understanding that there's a difference between being a first year and being a transfer first year would really make a difference, as well as academic advising. I think teaching students how to advise themselves better would greatly help, because once I got over that barrier of like, okay, I'm taking this on by my own hands, like I'm not gonna do what they say because I want to graduate in 4 years. That really changed things for me. So giving the students the empowerment to take that over and take it over if they need to. If that makes sense.
Okay, so, gosh, this is hard for me, but I can speak from what I've heard. So I'm also, well, my senior year, at an undergrad, I was tapped to be, on a committee for On Your Times initiatives, and I would hear horror stories with people that were advised wrongly and did not have the proper, credits to graduate and had spent a lot of money and time in these classes that they did not need. So I think that there needs to be, like, even from like the transfer perspective, a clear understanding of what will transfer into the universities that are part of your bridge pipelines. I feel like there you can really win, because if you have a bridge program with the University of South Carolina or Clemson or Winthrop, there should be a solid understanding of what these students need and how that will matriculate into, you know, how many credits. It shouldn't be a question of, are these credits gonna transfer? They should transfer if there's a pipeline. Then on the advising side, I feel like it needs to be some type of accountability, maybe coaching and training constantly, because I know things change a lot, and you know, you could, like, a lot of things could get lost in those, like, changes in those cracks. But it has to be something where, as you said, the students can advocate. They should have the resources to look and see what they need as well, and it should be clear. And then the advisors should be able to, you know, kind of implement and make some suggestions. Like, for me, I was wanting to take a class for my own personal benefit, but it wasn't necessarily gonna transfer. But I was able to talk with my advisors at York Tech, and they gave me substitutions so that they would also work for what I wanted to do. So it's a win-win when you can kind of pull all those pieces together. So for me, I think it needs to be a more cohesive, you know, plan with advising and student empowerment.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's pretty sums up what I was gonna say. Just when you're at a technical college and you know that a student has a plan to going into one of your pipeline universities, just realizing what their major is. Like, University of South Carolina provides a major map for every major, so it's listed out. You will take X, Y, Z in this semester from freshman to senior year. So just taking a look at that before an advisement appointment could help someone's case like mine, and so you don't have to, like, catch up all of college and do the 17, 18 credit hours every semester, summer classes. I also think that the University 102, the transfer program, is great. It's our first year doing it. Our mission is to kind of take transfer out of it, so it's like, once you come here, you're not transfer student anymore, like, you're a Gamecock. And teaching them about our advisement system, because it is a complicated system. There are many different websites, and you have DegreeWorks and your self-service, and you have your shopping cart, and then all these dates that you have to do for registration. Like, it's complicated. And even my freshmen this morning, I had University 101, and they were like, I was just advised to take anatomy and physiology next semester. I don't know why they do that. That's a very hard class. They're only freshmen. They're like, where's my DegreeWorks? How do I get here? How do I do this? So just kind of making that more clear to them, helping with advocating for themselves and being like, I think I should take this first, and knowing yourself, I shouldn't jump into anatomy physiology yet. Maybe take the chemistry first, that kind of thing.
I mean, I feel like all three of you guys just like really hit everything on the nail, like every single aspect of like going in as a new student and not being like a transfer student anymore, like you're a Gamecock, and then also being a freshman, plus the advisement sign, plus like student empowerment, just advocating for yourself, which is huge. I don't really have anything else to add. I think that was pretty much all of it.
I would like to add one more thing that I think would be beneficial. So one of the mysteries is trying to figure out what class is being here at York Tech or a community college, and what that class translates to where you're going. And everybody has different ways, different names. Maybe if there is a streamlined way that class is the same, you know, coded the same way across the board, it would be a lot less complicated to figure out if you're taking the right course that's gonna transfer. Because it doesn't have the same name where you're going.
Makes sense. one more thing, sorry.
I also think, on the note of accountability, I think that when you're transferring in somewhere and you've made that decision and you've been given a course evaluation, there should be some kind of accountability where an advisor signs off and that's your path, you know? Like I don't think after you've already signed up for classes and you've already invested money and time into a college, to go back and say, actually, we did this wrong, that seems really wrong in my mind, and so I feel like there needs to be some accountability when a student has been accepted into the program, that what their clear path is, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Okay, so I'm going to open it up to you guys if you have any questions for our panelists. Are there microphones?
I'm just gonna steal this little one again.
She's gonna steal.
Shardai.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm Betty Rose Horn, and I'm on the commission, and I want to say first, what a great group of people are in this room. You all are problem solvers. And I was thinking as you all were saying, here's some things that you could think that would make it better. I've heard those ideas already from this group of people, many of them. So they're your can-do, no problem friends out here. And I just wanted to say that. Thank you to each of you for your contributions. You're so important to this system, and we listen to you. We listen to you, and thank you. I also was thinking as you all were talking about the same experience that my granddaughter had who just graduated, and out of 4 years of her undergraduate experience, had 3 COVID semesters. And yeah, your education has been impacted, and I worry a lot about socialization, but I don't know where Shardai found you 4 charismatic, articulate people, but I'm not gonna worry about you 4. You're gonna be okay. But I did have a question, and I wanted to ask you, as a non-traditional student, African American, did you have any special challenges that you had to work through, and did you have help from these wonderful people?
I have had tons and tons of help, but as you probably can imagine, I advocate for myself. And I get involved, and I'm a giver. I love community. I love sharing. So as I find out information, I'm the person that's gonna write about it. I'm gonna, tweet about it. I'm gonna make sure that this information gets, assimilated out into my, with my peers. So I think that if I can give any advice to anyone, is to just empower the student to feel safe, to ask questions, and to advocate. Let them know that it's a safe space and that we're a team. We're working together. We all want the same things, and no one's perfect. But if you show up and you really have a desire to get where you're going, everyone in this room, as well as everyone on this panel, are working together for that end. So.
Awesome. Any other questions? She's coming.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Leslie Barrett Brown with Coastal Carolina University. And I just had a question. Everyone had mentioned a little bit of advising challenges and things like that, and transparency and knowing how those courses transfer and those pathways. I was curious if you did any research in your plans to transfer online, or how that research happened, or if you found those resources, or what those challenges were.
I had looked at the exercise science major map very shortly after I started at Midlands Tech. So I had taken biology, which is something that all freshmen take at Carolina for exercise science. But I was just advised to do the Carolina course, the electives. And there really wasn't an option for me to do calculus or chemistry, which is what I pushed for, but my advisor was just pushing back on me and saying like, oh, then that's not a good idea right now, you shouldn't do that. And then I come to Carolina and my advisor's like, whoa, why haven't you done this yet? And I'm like, I don't know. So
yeah, there was some research there, but I just experienced a lot of pushback.
I agree. There was definitely a disconnect with my advisor, and I had to also change my advisor a couple times just because, you know, that pushback and like you said, like advisors creating a safe space for students is just so important because sometimes it just feels like they're not really there for you, and I know they have so many students and you're just like, okay, well I feel really tossed to the side, I'm just gonna have to do this myself. And then sometimes you just don't always do it correctly. And in one of the last breakout areas, someone said, well, you're only 18, like when you're in high school, you don't have to know where you're going. Or you're only 20 years old when after like a community college, you don't exactly know what you have to do. But I think that it's the opposite way around. Like you have to know what you want to do and you have to stick on that path or else you're going to be pushed back years, semesters, whatever it is, or you just have to keep going through. Which it does really stink. I do understand, like, obviously being an engineer is not gonna be the same as like psychology type courses. But I just feel like creating a safe space for advisors so you can feel okay to ask those type of questions so that they can help you explore those different majors. It's really help you explore what you wanna do. That's just such a big key in everything where I feel like that's where a lot of the disconnect is happening, where you don't feel safe, like to ask them.
Yeah, when you're speaking on research, I personally am very type A, so when I was transferring, I did so much research. I was, again, being recruited for swimming, so I had to keep that in mind, and so after I got all these schools of, okay, I can swim here and get scholarship, then I have to put in my coursework, see what's gonna work. So I did research for every single school that I had a scholarship to. I was trying to figure out which one would make the most sense academically. And again, that's where the disconnect was for me, is I did this research, I put in all this time, and then afterwards, it felt like, I think it's because my program changed the year I came in. I was supposed to do healthcare management, but then it got changed to, we don't have that program anymore, it's just public health. And so that's why I got pushed behind. But I think if these people are coming in, having done this research, accepted for this program, it seems a little weird that suddenly it can just be taken away when, again, I spent all this research doing this, moved across the country for this program, and then suddenly it's like, oh, actually no.
I guess for me, research has like really been the cornerstone of like my whole experience, and I think I change every semester, like while I'm kind of planning out my schedule the semester before, I go through maybe 9 changes back and forth with making sure, but then with those changes, I'm also like, when I'm finalizing it and I'm like, this is it, I'm gonna reach out to the advisor and like, what is this gonna look like? Am I doing the right things? Like, is this gonna set me back, or, you know? So I think that just that constant engagement and making sure what you're doing. I think that also not to allow students to transfer into different majors without understanding the consequences, because a lot of students assume that it's just an equal playing field and I can like leave psychology and go into business and I'm still gonna graduate on time. And then they don't ask those questions and they get those changes, and then they're like shocked when they didn't. But you gotta ask the questions. You gotta make sure that what you're doing, the changes that you're making are gonna still keep you on track for graduation. So again, I think a lot of that, empowering students with resources to know how to make those changes, what those changes look like, and the questions they should be asking of their advisors if they're going to go down certain paths.
Any other questions from the audience? See someone running. I'm so proud of you, Kristen. Getting her steps. Jetting across the room.
Hi, I'm Michelle Kai from Trident Technical College, and I'm the Dean of Humanities and Social Sciences. I first want to thank you, the student panel. You're the reason why we do this, so thank you for sharing your stories. I had a quick question for the person, the second one, that you changed your major, and when you got to, yes, so we use some, I'm also from Boston, so, yeah. So when major, you said some of the psychology or some of the courses in the major didn't transfer over. And I guess that's always kind of a battle for us at the 2-year level because we're so focused on helping students meet general education requirements that sometimes we even advise students, well, I know you want to be a psychology major or a business major, but we have to kind of give them a warning. Those courses probably aren't going to transfer over. But then I wonder if you didn't take those classes, would you have known that you wanted to change your major, and would you have then prepared for something else? So there's always this back and forth between helping someone through gen ed classes, but also knowing when they show up to their 4-year school, they're going to jump in as a junior in a major that they might not want. So do you have any advice on what we can do at the 2-year level to help students with that academic major and career exploration, at the same time balancing not losing credits?
I think, gosh, that's a hard question. Yeah, I think I know that the professor that I had when I first took a psychology course is the reason why I wanted to go into psychology. Just the way that he taught the course, he just seemed so excited about it. It made me excited about it, and I really wanted to do it. I think that like you were saying, the warnings and consequences of changing your major were not made clear, and that's something where I think the University of South Carolina has done a really good job addressing, because we have like it's called the what if section on your degree works, which I'm seeing a lot of head nods, I'm sure that you know what it is. So like in my University 101 and my 102, I've talked about that, because a lot of people already were a month in, but they're already thinking about changing their majors, and I'm like, okay, so you can, I love the little progress tracker bar on the top where you can see where you go from 79% completed back to 26% completed. So it's just something like that where in the 2-year college that I went to, I never knew that was a thing. I don't even know if they have that, but just my advisors, they were very like, yes people, I feel like. So I'm 19 years old at that time saying, oh, I want to do a complete 180 from what I've decided to do since I was 13 years old. And they're like, yes, of course, absolutely, go ahead, right, to do it. But I don't really know what that means. You know, I'm brand new in college and everything. But I do think it is really hard for the gen eds. I always assumed all my gen eds were going to transfer to my 4 years no matter what. I obviously know that's not always the case. So I think that it is a really hard balance, but again, it's just giving like the students those resources where they can look into the degree works, look into the what ifs, and making sure that they really have a good understanding of what it is. So just being like very clear and very communicative with that student itself.
We have about 10 minutes left. Anyone else have a question? Yes, sir.
Said someone's getting her steps in today. I'm Joe Wilford. I'm the provost at Converse University up in Spartanburg. You just mentioned general education courses. Can you all tell us candidly how you feel about a general education curriculum? And there's no right or wrong answer, of course, but I'm just interested in your take on gen eds.
I guess I'll start off. What you thinking? I love general education. I think it gives you that core curriculum that really gives you that foundation to build upon. It's essential that everyone has the same solid basic understanding of whatever those concepts are, from content creation, English, math, or whatever. I know math can go a little different, but I think it's so important. From the gen eds, I think that there should be a clear path, because that shouldn't change, right? It's the general education path, so I think that we can win there. There's a great opportunity for transfer students to have those solid, especially coming out. You should be locked in with your gen eds and coming into your 4-year university knowing that those are out of the way. So I like that.
I think that general education classes are great. Kind of like you said, it kind of gives everyone that foundation and that basis that you will use beyond your specific degree. I also think that they can be a signal for some students, like, hey, maybe this is what you want to do instead. So like you take your psychology 101 and you're in engineering, and you're like, I actually like this more. I think that that could maybe save the students some headache later on. Yeah, I think they're necessary. It also helps you kind of settle into college, just because those general education classes aren't as rigorous as your degree is going to be later. So it kind of gives you that stepping stone of like, this is where we start. It's a little bit easier, and then helps you progress and learn how to study, because studying in college is different than high school. So I think everyone should benefit from them.
I definitely think that gen eds are needed, but I, again, can only really speak on my experience, because I have heard from other people that other colleges require different gen eds, and it can be a lot longer of a process. For me personally, I think that I have just the right amount of gen eds where I got kind of my foot in the door for everything. I kind of got an understanding of, okay, I know how to do this and how to do this. But I think that to optimize kind of student feelings about gen eds, I think having options is really helpful. So if there's, an art gen ed, but having 10 different kind of art classes you can take really helps. So if you don't want to do this, you can do this or this or this, which really helps. I think when students get frustrated is when it's this one specific gen ed I have to take that I don't feel passionate about, but again, I do understand the reasoning behind them, and as long as there's not like a ridiculous amount of gen eds, it seems like it's a good path to start out with.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that gen eds really can pique your interest on certain aspects, and having those like a lot of different options is really great because everyone has different interests. I think they really are building blocks for just education in general, and I think they're also a really good stepping stone, whether you're a transfer student or you're a high school student. I know that going from 2-year to university, I wanted to do everything. So I got so involved that once winter break hit, I had really bad burnout, and I was like, okay, never mind, I need to just not do almost anything. So I think that it's a really good tool in order to go from a two-year college, stepping into having that bridge to a university, and then at the other side of people who aren't transfers, from that high school to college jump can be really big for a lot of times, but that general education for the first year or first 2 years is a really good like building block onto going into those more rigorous classes and more of those major focus courses as well.
Is it all? So we're gonna, yes.
I kind of have a two-part. So part one, for those that felt pushed to a different class than what you wanted to take by your advisor, was that your faculty assigned advisor or an advising center generalist advisor? Just out of curiosity.
It's like they don't understand the question.
Yeah, like at York Tech, I work in the advising center, and we're there for like drop-in support, random. We're not assigned any specific students, and then students are assigned a faculty advisor within their program of study. Did you have that experience, or?
Mine was a faculty advisor, so it was like specifically assigned to me for my major. Again, I had to have mine changed. I think it was once or twice, 2 times I believe. So that's where I think the pushback was. And I just think that I just haven't had the best luck with advisors, unfortunately, just with like the communication. And I know someone mentioned like Navigate earlier. My advisor is like one of the only people who doesn't use Navigate. So I'm like emailing like 3 different times in a row. She's like, I'll get to you eventually, I'll get to you eventually. I'm sending that out next week. I'm like, oh, kind of want to get my advising done. But I think that it's great. I didn't know that there was advisors where you could just drop in, and I think that's a really great resource to have where, in case you can't get a hold of your actual advisor, you can go drop in and know that, again, there's that support that you have on university and for the campus and students in general.
I would just like to say, so I had an advisor that was assigned to me, but it wasn't until I came in for a drop-in appointment with you, Alyssa, and you were like, oh, you can get a substitution for that one. I'm like, I can? So I think that, it really, it can be tricky because you have to have some people that are really phenomenal at what they're doing when you're in those drop-in situations, because you don't wanna have people that are kind of like, you're fine, just sign it off on things. So it is a space where it can be, something looked at and open to students that, cause there's a lot of advisors that have a tremendous workload. And my political science advisor for undergrad at USC, she was retiring, and you kind of knew, like, don't ask too many questions because she's really gonna be annoyed. So I feel like, it can be beneficial for drop-in.
And then I'm sorry, my part two question for y'all is, like some of you are teaching University 101, I teach the same similar thing at the 2-year school, and I say till I'm blue in the face to my transfer cohort, like, you really need to try to pick a major because that math sequence matters, and you cannot go in as a junior if you're doing engineering and you don't do this math or, whatever. But I feel like a lot of times students don't know until they're leaving and are forced to make that decision. So what would your advice be to help get our students to listen and like understand that yes, your course is transfer, but they may not apply to that major? Like, how would you explain that to them and help it sink in? And I really appreciate that advice.
Speaking as someone who definitely, I don't really know what I wanted to do until just about now. So, I definitely got my bachelor degree in something that I don't think is going to be too relevant for what I want to do, but I keep having to tell myself, like, it wasn't wasted. I got that education and that experience, and I was able to do it on time because I had that major. And so I think explaining to students that if you plan to get your master's degree, a lot of master's programs, it doesn't really matter what you majored in, again, depending, but for me personally, that was my experience. And so explaining to students, if you choose, like, for example, public health, that doesn't mean I have to go into public health. This is just kind of building the foundation for the future of my higher education beyond my bachelor's degree.
Maybe my MBA frameworks are gonna pull out here, but I say every student as a general ed should take stats and calculus required. I literally was like, I was trying to get out of like the mathy maths, and I looked and I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna be able to do the things that I wanna do at the University of South Carolina if I don't have those stats and that business calculus. So at the very least, I pushed myself and I did it, and I'm so thankful because, I mean, even like learning a programming language like R or Python, like just having those, like tools from that stats and that, calculus class has served me well.
I started to sweat when you said stats.
Something that USC has started doing with the University 101 programs is making them major specific. So my section is all students in the public health school, so we can kind of educate them now on what they can look forward to. So it's like almost every class I get on a soapbox, and I'm like, this is what I had to do to get here, like just warning you now, like this is what you have to look forward to. I've had my one-on-ones with some of my students, and 3 of them already want to transfer to nursing, 1 of them wants to do dance. So, and we told them it's good to do this now so you don't get behind because they're still in their gen ed. So making these one-on-one programs specific to their majors, I think, makes a complete difference and saves them that headache later on.
Yes, sir.
I have a quick kind of 2-part question. Can you tell me what your majors were at the 2-year college? Were you associate arts or associate science or maybe an applied science degree? And I think, lady in the black, you're at York.
Yep.
Black guy. I think I heard you said that you graduated with your degree from there, or did the other 2 of you? Or did I misunderstand?
So that's correct. So I did the associate, the Associate Arts of Arts from York Tech, and I did graduate from that. And there was an advisor that I met with because I was thinking about like maybe transferring earlier without graduating from York Tech and just coming on to USC. And she was like, if
you, I would just, since you're so close, go ahead and get this degree and have it in, something in your hand. And then when you get there, at least you know you've completed something. And I think that really gave me a really amazing foundation, because I came in with, a degree, and then I did so well, I was really proud of that. And I just built, and I just kept on rolling ahead. And then you asked the.
Yeah, you graduated, what the major was.
Yep, yep.
Just curious about the other three as well.
I believe that I didn't graduate from there since I was only there for year transfer. I believe it was an Associates of Arts, even though I should have been Associates of Science.
Okay, all right.
I was an associate of arts. They didn't have like at Greenville Tech when I was in my second year of community college. They don't have like international business, which was okay because then I ended up not wanting to do it anyway. So I started out in international business, and then afterwards you just get like an associates of arts. Like I didn't have a psychology anyways. So associates of arts, and that's what I'm going to go into for USC as well.
I graduated with an Associates of Science, and I actually, because of that, I did not have to take another math class again after that, so that's great.
And just to speak to that, because I took Associate of Arts track, but I looked and I saw, I'm gonna be at a disadvantage if I wanna go into the business program. I opted myself into the stats and the calculus classes.
Alright, I think we're at time, and so I just wanna thank you guys so much, for allowing us to get into your heads and hear your experiences, and thank you all for allowing me to be before you. So, yeah.
You did a good job.